Jimin didn't realize it, but Jungkook saw it all. One night at the military headquarters, amid the silence accompanied only by the sound of the footsteps of combat boots and the call of guard rotations, Jungkook stood on the balcony of the barracks. The night sky was so dark, and the stars were shyly appearing. His eyes didn't see the sky. He stared at the small screen of his cell phone, behind the strict rules, replaying a video sent secretly by a staff member who is also an army. Jimin broadcast footage a few days ago. On that screen, Jimin can be seen sitting in the studio, chuckling as he reads out the comments of the fans. His face is bright, his smile is loose. But Jungkook doesn't see what others see. He saw something deeper. He saw how Jimin was laughing, but then his gaze was directed to the lower right, his eyes a little blank. It was as if his mind was dragged to another place that no one could reach. He saw how Jimin pinched his own arm slowly when he didn't realize the camera was recording it, as if he was trying to hold back something. He saw how at the end of the broadcast, when everyone thought Jimin was just staring at the screen because he was reading a comment, actually, the eyes were red. His lips moved slowly, as if he were saying something, but silently. Jungkook rewound that part many times, and finally he found out. Jimin said his name. Just one word. Jungkook. Slowly, Jungkook lowered his head. He clenched his fists. There were thousands of words he wanted to say. He wanted to send it directly, but he couldn't. Could only stare at the cold screen, hoping as if it could penetrate space and time. "Don't you know, Hyung," he whispered. "But I saw everything. I know you're still waiting for me." A few days later, when Jimin arrived at the agency building for a closed-door meeting with the manager and production team, he found something in his personal locker. A white envelope. No name, no sender. It only says one sentence on the back, "For he who sees the sky, but harbors rain in his eyes." Jimin opened slowly. Inside was only a small piece of paper with a very familiar handwriting. "Hyung, you don't have to say anything. I know everything, even what you don't say. On cold nights, I just want you to know I see you too. Always. Don't change." Jimin was silent for a long time. He embraced the letter. And for the first time, tears fell that he could not bear, not because of the loss, but because he finally knew he was never alone. That night, Jimin sat alone in his rehearsal room. The studio was dark, lit only by dim light from a laptop screen and a small lamp in the corner of the room. He stared at the blank screen of his music production app, his fingers trembling over the keyboard. He had been sitting there for hours, but had not written a word. But his heart was full. Jungkook's little paper was still in his pocket. Many times he read it. It was as if he came back to life every time he touched it. And finally, involuntarily, his hand moved. He began to write lyrics, not with thought, but with taste. "I saw you in the rain, even though we were far away. Your name lingers in every voice I dare not utter." Her tears fell again. But this time, he didn't hide it. He writes, sings softly, his voice breaks, but that's where the truth comes in. The song was not finished that night. But for Jimin, one thing is very clear. This is not just a song. This is a return message. A heart murmur that he sent back to someone he once thought had gone too far. Meanwhile, inside the military tent, Jungkook was cleaning duty equipment when one of his teammates turned on a small radio from a Korean channel. There is a song playing, unknown, unannounced title. But Jungkook knew that voice. It was Jimin's voice. It instantly froze. All other sounds suddenly disappeared. The song has not yet been officially released. Maybe a leak, maybe a recording from the studio. But for Jungkook, it was a calling. His eyes began to glaze over. He knew the song was written for him. Each stanza, each sigh, feels like a personal message that permeates the hundreds of kilometers of distance and layers of military uniforms that now separate them. And when the refs came in, Jungkook closed his eyes. "When you hear this, don't answer. Just feel it, because I still am, and always will be." He doesn't need an explanation. No meeting needed. That night, just by hearing the song, Jungkook knew they weren't over. Jungkook is alive, between verses, between heartbeats that are never in sync with time, but always connected. The morning was ordinary. Jimin had just finished vocal training when his phone vibrated. A text message came in from a number he didn't save, but he knew there was no way he could have misidentified it. "Are you still in the same place?" It stopped for a moment. He didn't answer right away. His hands trembled, his eyes fixed on the screen, as if his brain was unable to digest the sudden flood of emotions. Jungkook, after months of silence, after all represented only by an untitled song, a line of messages finally arrived. Not many words, but enough to shake Jimin's entire little world that he had been keeping quiet for so long. He replied with just one word, "Yes." And somehow he knew. That day will be different. The sun had come down, and Jimin turned on the only dim yellow light in the studio they used to record demos in. In the room, many stories were buried. Laughter, replayed notes, petty arguments, and songs that were never released because they were too personal. He sat, waiting. His heart could not calm down. Every second felt like holding my breath. Then the door opened slowly. Jungkook stood there. Her hair is shorter, her body looks more solid, but the look in her eyes is still the same, gentle yet deep. It was like storing an ocean that could not be explained with just a gaze. Jimin stood up. They just stared at each other for a time that felt like forever. And no hugs. No hi. Just shut up. But in that silence, everything returned. Pain, longing, confusion, and the strongest, fragility. "I heard your song," Jungkook said at last. "Jimin is down. It's not for everyone. I know, but I heard it, and I feel like that's the only reason why I'm strong enough to go through all this." Their eyes met again. "Why have you never called me?" Jimin asked, his tone slow but biting. Jungkook took a breath. "I'm afraid you've changed. I'm afraid I'm no longer a part of your life." Jimin smiled bitterly. "And you think I'm not afraid?" "Every day. But the only thing that never changes, it's my wish to be able to talk to you again." Both were silent. But tears began to fall, not out of anger or disappointment, but because of the long-held burden finally found room to break. Jimin picked up an acoustic guitar lying in the corner of the room. "I haven't had a chance to finish it yet," he said, sitting down and starting to pick up notes. Jungkook approached, sat down on the floor, and began to sing with her. "We're not perfect, we don't always know the way, but every step home always leads to us." When the two voices meet, the room is no longer just a studio. He became a witness. Witness of two souls who had been separated by circumstance, by time, by silence, but they never really let go of each other. And at the end of the song, as the last string stopped vibrating, Jungkook looked at Jimin, deeper than ever. "I don't want to lose this again." Jimin replied, softly but surely. "Then we restart. Not from the beginning, but from where we last waited for each other. Perhaps to the outside world, their stories are just fan fantasies. But for those who know, who feel every gesture in the gaze and every note in the song, the connection is real, not always clear, not always announced, but real, and like an unfinished song written, this story still continues. Because Jungkook and Jimin are not just two names, they are two halves of one heart that are constantly looking for ways to keep beating in harmony, even though the world does not always understand their tone. Days change weeks. Jimin returned to his activities. Jungkook still performs official duties. They don't contact each other. No messages, no more silent meetings like before. But that feeling is not dead. Jimin kept all the lyrics he wrote. He knew that when the time came for Jungkook to leave the army, the song would be his first gift. While Jungkook, every night before going to bed, he always touches that little paper in his pocket, which starts to get shabby, but he never throws it away, because they know, when the time comes, one sentence will be enough to reconnect everything, and maybe that word is, "I'm still here."